Baseball is back, and both WagerTalk and Sports Memo have an amazing offer to keep you in action from the first pitch to the kickoff of the upcoming NFL season. We have you covered from Thursday, April 7th, when 18 of the 30 MLB teams take part in opening day, to Thursday, August 4th, when the NFL Hall of Fame game kicks off in Canton, Ohio for less than $5 per day. To lock in your favorite WagerTalk expert through the start of NFL preseason, it would cost you well over $1,000. Before limited time, pay only $5.49, coming out to just $4.61 per day. This will include any plays released for MLB from opening day to August 4th, rest of the NBA and NHL regular seasons, entire playoffs and championship games, golf, UFC, soccer, and more. As an added bonus, your access begins when you sign up, so the earlier you sign up, the more free days you'll get. This will include all sports and any 5% best bets played during this time, so act fast as our first pitch to kickoff promotion ends on opening day. So lock in your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper through the start of football season for the lowest price possible.
Good Monday morning, guys, and welcome back to WagerTalk TV. I am Andrew McInnis. I have Carmine Bianco with me as usual, and I'm really looking forward to today's show. It is just the two of us for today. We're going to go take a look at some NHL current standings, the wild card race in each conference. We got the buy and sell segment at the end of the show, and of course, 4 games that we are breaking down. Those games are the Bruins, the Jackets, the Leafs at Lightning. We have the Coyotes visiting the Blues, and the last game, the Flames in LA to take on the Kings. Carm, I didn't talk to you all weekend long, man. How was your weekend?
It's good that you didn't talk to me all weekend long. I probably wouldn't have answered the phone. I didn't do any sports watching at all. I go through sessions of sessions. I go through the periods of like my really bad migraines, and this was one of those weekends. So I literally took off watching anything on TV and stuff like that. Just did some research online as much as I could with regards to upcoming playoff races. And then I'm a little sour. I'm going to talk about a couple things before we get into the games real quickly. I don't want to take up a lot of time. But as of today is the first day in Ontario, Canada, where the new iGaming Act comes in. You need a license for sports books to operate in Ontario under the new gaming law. One of the books, Bet365, where I have a ton of my futures bets, Andrew, they canceled all future bets for anyone. All bets had to be settled as of midnight last night. So if you had a future bet on a team that didn't look good, they voided it. You got back your original stake. If you had a future bet on teams that do look good, there's always like a cash out offer, but it's only a fraction of what you would win. Hypothetically, you look at had Liverpool, multiple bets on Liverpool to win Champions League at 9-1. They're now 2-1 to win Champions League. Canceled. Calgary Flames to win the Pacific at plus 280. They're first place in the Pacific. Canceled. All of these bets canceled. You can't do anything about it because it is the new gaming thing here. Absolutely blows. So that in itself pisses me off, Andrew, because I play a ton of future bets, and to have them all canceled and you can't do anything about it is one thing. Another thing I wanted to address, we always get a ton of emails with regards to puck time, mainly all good. Some of them once in a while aren't as good. Someone actually wrote in about record transparency. Apparently they said that I don't include my free plays in my overall record. Free plays are never included in our client records, ever. They're included. The only time they'll ever be included is if I release a client play, but I also give it away for free on the WagerTalk free plays section. That is a client play that's being given out as a free play. All free plays, if they're not given out to clients, are just that, free plays. Our records are always transparent because you can go to the site, and if someone says I was 4-2 yesterday, you can go to the site and look at the last 20 plays and see whether they were 4-2 yesterday. We're 100% transparent with that. So when it comes into question, it's a little insulting to say the least, but any plays that are given on the show that are not client plays are just that. They're free plays on the client show. If I do a 6 and 60 on Fridays and it goes 1 and 5 like last week, last Saturdays, which was absolutely horrible, if they weren't buy-in plays, it's just a 6 and 60 segment that win 1 in 5. By consequently, if it's a 5 in 1 day and they're not client plays, it's a 5 in 1 day for free plays. That's all it really is, Andrew. So I just want to put those two out there. That's my weekend being recapped. 4 games tonight. We're back to our regular schedule. Buster tomorrow, Prez on Wednesday, Brian on Thursday, and of course our buy and sell today and our 6 and 60 on Friday. So I'm looking forward to all of those.
A lot to unravel there, but I'll just pick up where you left off on that note, Carm. I'm right there with you. And to just speak on that, I passed with my clients on Friday, Carm, and in the NHL and in every sport. But I did not pass on puck time. I did puck time with you. I gave out Buffalo Sabres on the money line. I gave out the over in the Blues and the Oilers game. We talked about several games that I gave out winners on. Guess what? Like you said, it works the other way. Those winners don't go on my record either. So the puck time losses and puck time winners, I would love to have that Buffalo plus 170 on my client, record. But that's just how it goes. These are different. And having said all of that for you guys out there listening, of course, as you know, we care about these plays. We put our time into them. We put research into them. We truly do care about these plays. So I just wanted to mention that. But I wish I could have counted my Friday picks, Carm, because I passed on Friday. So
I get, listen, I absolutely get it. And listen, I had a fantastic start to last week. I think from Monday to Thursday, I was like 7-0 with my client plays. And then I get like an 0-2 Friday. Saturday, I release 2 plays to clients. It was clients only, 2 plays. And they go 2-0. I think it was Florida, regulation time, Florida money line. Or puck line. I believe those were the plays, and those ones win for clients. And then I release 2 plays at night that go the opposite way. And then Sunday is a similar type of day. So we have those ones. I wish I had taken the weekend off. I apologize to my clients. And every time I have a bad day in NHL, when I'm having a good week, I always take care of my clients on the back end, and they know that. So it will just keep going forward. But Andrew, kudos to you, man. You are on absolute fire in the NHL. You're having just a phenomenal season, man, and just keep rolling, man. Just keep on rolling with those plays.
I appreciate it, Carm. Yeah, now 11-0 run in the NHL, 14-0 all sports run. So had that on the line tonight. But let's jump into what we're going to discuss today. But real quick, I wanted to say, like Carm mentioned, today is the first day in Ontario. All kinds of sports books coming there. And Carm, as much as it does affect you, I think you're a great futures bettor. You'll get them back, man. You'll get them back. There's plenty of more outs for you now legally in Canada. You'll get them back. But that is tough because I know you're a futures bettor. You've been a successful one. But it's definitely an exciting day for Carm and I because sports betting is really here in Canada, and hopefully it's here to stay and only start to grow. We're going to take a quick look at some of the playoff pictures and some standings. Taking a look right now at the Atlantic division here. We have the Panthers, Maple Leafs, and the Lightning. Of course, these are the top 3 teams right now. The Panthers at the top of the list, the 102 points. Man, what a season it has been for them, Carm. 48, 15, and 6. And just a crazy comeback they had in the third period on Saturday, I believe it was. They were down 6-2 to the New Jersey Devils. They win at 7-6 in overtime. The Maple Leafs, 93 points, and the Lightning, 68 points, and 93, and Lightning with 93. I mean, it's just unbelievable, really, how tight it is with them and just that entire division. I just wanted to get your thoughts really on the Atlantic there in the top, and then we'll discuss some of the wild card stuff as well.
Yeah, when I talked about on the weekend with regards to some of the client plays, I think Saturday was just one client play early on. That was the Florida team total over, and they got there, and then I had Florida on Sunday in 2 plays for clients, regulation line and puck line, and they got there. But you look at this Atlantic, Andrew, and I broke a few things down. First of all, you look at Florida should win this division. They've got quite a few. They've got a good lead points wise, and of their final 13 games, they only play 5 teams that are playoff bound. You look at Tampa. Tampa, six of their 14 games are against teams that are in a playoff spot right now. Toronto, 7 of 14. And the Bruins, they're right there as well, too, and looking to get into that top 3 in the Atlantic. 9 of their 14 games, though, are against playoff-bound teams. Of those ones there, it wouldn't surprise me if Tampa actually fell out of the top 3. And I'll tell you why. You look at the last 2 seasons for Tampa Bay closing out a season. This is a team that once they're positioned for a playoff spot, they truly don't care where they finish, I believe. 2 years ago, Andrew, their final 30 days, in the final 30 days of the season, they went 7-7 in their last 14 games and won the Stanley Cup. Last year, they went 10-9 the final 30 days of the NHL season and won the Stanley Cup. This is a team that knows come playoff time, they have depth, they have goaltending, they have scorers throughout that lineup, and they can do it. So they don't necessarily need home ice. This is why Tampa's a tough team to play on finishing off this regular season because they're in the playoffs. We know they're going to make the playoffs, but we don't know what their motivation is in the last 30 days, whether to stay healthy or not. So as far as that goes, I'm looking at Florida's are going to win this division. And I think Toronto and Boston could bump up to that number 2 spot. The Leafs, especially given the schedule they have to close it out. So we'll see how it goes. But tonight's game goes a long way to where they finish. I think this game, which is an absolute coin flip, and we'll talk about shortly.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll jump into that in just a few moments. The next one I wanted to look at was the Metropolitan Division, of course, containing the Hurricanes, the Rangers, and the Penguins at the top of that one. We've got the Hurricanes with 98 points, Rangers 94, Penguins 92. It's just unbelievably competitive. Penguins with a record of 41, 19, and 10. But I'll tell you what, I think it's very similar to what Carm just mentioned there with the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's kind of how I feel about the Pittsburgh Penguins. Of course, you want to adjust your seed the best way you can to make sure that pathway for you in the playoffs is the best possible. But I take a look at them and I look at how they play defensively. I look at how they're, top 5 in goals for in the NHL past several months. Their power play has been great. I look at this Rangers team, how well they've played. But are they the real deal? Do they have the experience on their roster? Will they come through? They got a young goaltender, but he has been unbelievable as well. And of course, the Carolina Hurricanes, a team that I currently have a 14-1 ticket in my pocket for them. And defense is the name of the game. Between defense and goaltending for the Carolina Hurricanes, picking up Frederik Andersen last year, I think it's been a real huge pickup for them. They've done very well. I really, Carm, don't see much adjustment here. I think the Penguins could leapfrog the Rangers, but the Rangers are playing very well right now. The East is just incredibly tight. But people are kind of looking at these Rangers futures and saying, why are we still getting such good value on them compared to the rest of the crowd there? We'll touch on the West here in just a couple seconds. Obviously, the East is a lot more tight and solidified. But any thoughts here on these 3 teams?
Yeah, it's Carolina's division to lose because you look at the Canes, 13 games left. Only 3 of those games are against playoff-bound teams. They have the easiest of these 3 teams closing out the rest of the regular season. And then you look at the Rangers, 5 of their last 12 games against playoff-bound teams. Pittsburgh with the toughest. 7 of their last 12 games are against playoff-bound teams. I get the thing on the Rangers and the odds because they're stuck in a division that's it's going to be a tough one, and they're going to have to play likely the Pens in the first round. These are the 2 teams that are going to meet in the first round, and then likely have to play the Canes after that. So I get it. The Canes are the clear favorites in this one. And if the Rangers play like they did yesterday, they were a no-show for the first 40 minutes of that game. Absolutely no offense to speak of. And then they sort of woke up once down 3-0, came back, tied it up, and they lose in a shootout. They gave Shesterkin absolutely no help whatsoever. He stopped 4 or 5 breakaways in that game against the Flyers and kept them in that game. So they need some scoring from this Rangers team. They've had their ebbs and flows. They seem to ebb in this one. They really didn't seem in the game until very late, and then they almost had a chance to win it in regulation time with a late penalty. But with that said, this is the Canes' division to lose.
And looking at the wild card, really, Carm, there's not much to talk about here. When we talk about it, I mean, it's the Bruins and the Capitals sitting in that position. And of course, the Islanders, they're on the outside looking in. They have 73 points. I think just absolutely hell would have to break loose for the Capitals to, somehow slide out. I'll tell you one thing, though. This isn't a playoff preview show, but I can guarantee you one thing. I'll be looking to fade the crap out of the Washington Capitals once the playoffs start, once they're in there, because this is a team that had a great start to the year, and they surprised me a lot, and it's been very difficult and really different since then. So obviously there's a lot more competition for that wild card spot in the Western Conference. But, just looking at this here, Carm, is there a chance? All I'm going to ask you, is there a chance here the Islanders can slip in?
At the beginning of the season killed them. You can still make money off them, Andrew. They're playing extremely well. They're winning games. Here's a scenario. They got 14 games left. If they go 11-3 over those 14 games, they finish on 95 points. They have 6 home games, 8 away games. Washington has 13 games left. If the Islanders were to go 11-3, Washington would have to go 6-7 to finish on 96 points and finish ahead of the Islanders. It's the chances are slim and almost none of that happening, but anything is possible in the NHL. Washington goes through a string of bad games, and all of a sudden you're looking at the Isles. But to go 11-3 is tough, and I just don't see it happening. It's a shame because the Isles have a very good team, but I just don't see it happening.
Somewhere there's an Islanders fan watching this video right now saying, Carmine, you saying there's a chance. You're saying there's a slim chance for my team to crack in here. The Central, I think it's pretty much, we can say it's pretty much set. Let's talk about the Pacific Division here, Carm, with the Flames, the Kings, and the Oilers. Very, very competitive one here. We have 2 of these teams playing each other tonight with the Flames and the Kings. 89 points, 86 points, 85 points. The Edmonton Oilers. Look, the Oilers have kind of gotten it together a little bit recently, but you and I feel the exact same way about them. Defense, goaltending, they're hard to trust. The LA Kings, if you asked me which team has been kind of the biggest surprise to you of the year and most improved team, I think a lot of us would have to say the Los Angeles Kings, and especially betting-wise, it took a long time this season for the odds makers to catch up here. When I take a look at this, first of all, I have to give my hat off to you, Carm, for that future you did make. Whether or not you're going to cash it in your own book or not in Canada, the Flames got it together. They went on a huge streak, and they're 40, 19, and 9. Do you see any wiggle room here in this division, or does it kind of stay where it is?
I think it's likely going to stay where it is. You look at some of the teams, and the LA Kings have a good record and a favorable record as far as what they're going to play over their last 11 games. They're only going to play 4 playoff-bound teams. This is a team since the turn of the year, which is pretty much the halfway point of the season. They are 23-11-5 in the last 3 months. Very impressive. The Flames over that same period, 24-12-3. So we talk about the Flames playing phenomenal hockey from January 1st on. The Kings are right with them there. And tonight's game sort of goes a big way. But I think the Calgary Flames likely win this game tonight. I like them in this revenge spot here. And as far as Edmonton goes, Edmonton has the toughest run out with their final 12 games. 8 of them are against playoff-bound teams. And the toughest part for the Edmonton Oilers are their next 5 games. They're going to play in the next 5 games, Calgary. That's the LA Kings. Have a tough run out. All their games against playoff-bound teams are in the next 5 games. They're going to play Calgary, Edmonton, Minnesota, and Colorado with Chicago mixed in there. If they can make it through these next 5 games and pick up at least 2, maybe 3 wins in those 5 games, Andrew, then this is a playoff-bound team and a team that could challenge the Calgary Flames for that top spot in the Pacific.
It is a very, very competitive division. And the Kings don't have a great schedule. We might talk about them a little bit later on in this show. But just last and certainly not least, the wild card here before we jump into our games for today on the Monday show. Predators, Golden Knights, the Stars, and sure, the Jets. Unfortunately, Carm, That future bet that I kept talking about is not looking very good with the Canucks to make the playoffs. So they've kind of fallen out. But hey, 74 points for them. Anything can happen. The Golden Knights, what a slide for them. They're just squeaking in there right now into the playoffs. But I'll tell you one thing. If you're out there looking for a team to fade in this wild card position right now, I'm going to double down on the Predators, man, because I don't think they're playing good hockey right now. I think the Stars are playing better hockey. The Golden Knights are playing better hockey. And even the Jets have looked a little better recently. But I just don't know if I trust the Predators defensively like I once could. You know, there was a time where I didn't like the Predators. Then there was a period of time where I said, hey, I was wrong about them. And now I'm kind of back to my old ways, Carm, and saying I can't trust this team. What are your thoughts here on the wild card?
Yeah, you look at it, effectively you have 5 teams, 6 teams fighting for the final 5 playoff spots because they're 5 points apart. You look at Dallas, Vegas, Nashville, Edmonton, LA, and St. Louis, and these are teams that are divided by 5 points for those final 5 spots. I think Winnipeg is effectively done unless they win 10 of their next 12 games. I don't see that happening. Vancouver as well too have struggled. So it is these teams. Dallas, 7 of their last 14 games against playoff teams. Vegas, 5 of their last 11 against playoff teams. Nashville, 10 of 14 against playoff-bound teams. Edmonton, 8 of 12. The Kings, 4 of 11. And St. Louis, 7 of 14 against playoff-bound teams. All these teams have impressive records, Andrew, from top to bottom. All of them have winning records since 2022. I'm gonna rattle these off real quick. Dallas, 24-14-1. Vegas, 17-16-3. Nashville, 20-14-2. Edmonton, 22-13-4. LA Kings, 23-11-5. And the St. Louis Blues, 20-11-5. All these teams have played good since the turn of the year. Maybe Vegas is the only one, but they are winning now, Vegas, and getting those wins, and they have the easier schedule to close it out. Who misses? Nashville could very well miss it. I think it's a crapshoot. I don't think you can pick one of these 2 teams. And if we're going to see playoff hockey, we're going to see it now over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks in this NHL season. And I have no data to back it up, but teams are going to look to at least get games to overtime when they're close and pick up that single point, because it is going to be it's going to be a race to the finish line here. I don't know who to take, Andrew, as the team that's going to be on the outside looking in. I agree with you on Nashville because they have the toughest schedule, but Edmonton's right there as well too. They can score, but they can't keep the puck out of the net. So it's going to be interesting to see how this West closes out.
Awesome stuff there, Carm. A lot of great information. We wanted to bring that up today, just so a lot of you guys know what we're talking about when we're breaking down these, competitive playoff races and some situations we're looking at. There are some teams that will play spoiler as underdog, but lots of games will matter more than others. Speaking of games that matter more than others and others might not, how about the Boston Bruins and the Columbus Blue Jackets going head-to-head tonight? Bruins minus 250, Columbus plus 200 here. We've got this Columbus Blue Jackets team that just played the Boston Bruins and lost 5-2. But Carm, they are near the bottom of the league in expected goals against per 60. This team's defense is much worse than the eye might appear. And it's because they just gradually get worse as games go on. They could maybe play 10 minutes of good defense, 20 minutes of good defense. But as long as you stay resilient, you can kind of, it can creep up on them, and 4 lines of pressure will be a little too much for them. I do want to point out, though, if you watched the last time these 2 teams met and you had the over 6.5, I took a line out of your book, Carm. People had to buy a lottery ticket, or hopefully they donated extra money in church on Sunday. 3 empty net goals, not 1, not 2. 3 empty net goals for the Boston Bruins against Columbus on the weekend here. It's the same scenario we've seen a lot recently, the same 2 teams playing each other. How do we approach it? How do we look at it in this one? And I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to look towards over 6.5 in this one. And I usually go against kind of what already happened. I go, if it was the first game was over, I'll go under, and vice versa. But I'll tell you what, guys, that first game wasn't a real over. If you cashed the ticket, you cashed the ticket. Congratulations. But the way I look at it is that there were a lot more chances in that game that were created. Plenty of great saves, defensive plays. Take away those 3 empty net goals, and it's actually a relatively low scoring game for these two teams. And I think we're going to see plenty of goals in this game tonight without the empty net goals. I think we didn't really see much from the top line from the Bruins over the weekend, and Columbus didn't really see much out of their top guys either. It was a depth game, and I think in this one, we'll see a lot more chippiness, physicality, and what do I always say? It leads to power plays, which leads to power play goals. So I'm going to look towards the over 6.5 here tonight when Boston takes on Columbus. What are you thinking here, Carm?
Andrew, I'm going to make this short and to the point. I know we talked a lot about the playoff stuff, but short and to the point. I think the Bruins are the obvious play here. They didn't play their best hockey in that last game, but they somehow still got it done. And Columbus they just can't stay out of their own way. They're losing games, and at some point they're going to win a game, kind of like the Anaheim Ducks, where we talked about the Ducks have completely given up on their season, but they sprung up and they beat Arizona. They score 5, win 5-0. Then they revert back to who they are, a team that's losing. And that's the thing with Columbus. They're playing out the string. They're not going to make the playoffs. They had thoughts of it maybe a month and a half ago, but they're not. I think the Bruins play their typical road game. They're very good on the road. They get the win here. I think you can take them in regulation time, lay the minus 145 with this team, and they get it done here. So give me the Bruins in regulation.
All right, Bruins in regulation for Carm. I'm looking towards the over 6.5 revenge game tonight for the Blue Jackets at home against the Boston Bruins. Our next game, we already talked about how close they are in the standings. Let's talk about the game for tonight. Tampa Bay Lightning minus 130 at home against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're plus 110. Totals at 6.5 here. Carm, we know how different the road record and home record has been for the Maple Leafs recently. Both teams, however, though, playing some pretty good hockey. What are your thoughts here in this one?
I don't want to say, Andrew, that I always pick on the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I kind of always pick on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I saw something the other day on social media that was, if you're a Leafs fan, who do you want to play in the first round? You want to play Florida? You want to play Boston? You want to play Tampa? And people are talking about like how the Leafs match up against all these teams. I think you should just worry about trying to win a first round series before you worry about who you're matching up with. As I talked about earlier in the show, it's the motivation with this Tampa Bay team. Listen, Tampa Bay takes every game seriously, but you just don't know what these games mean to close out a season for them. I honestly believe that. Looking at the last 2 years and their closeout month, this game actually means more to the Toronto Maple Leafs than it does to Tampa Bay, because I think they think this is a team that we likely will play in the first round of the playoffs, and we want to go in there and send them a message that we can play with them. And with that said, the market on this game has not moved at all. It opened at about 130, went to 135, dropped back to 130, went to 125, back up to 130. You're getting where I'm talking about here is the market hasn't moved on this game. And you would think Tampa at home, my God, Vasilevsky in goal. This team is only minus 130, 135. Let's jump on them. I can't. I'm not going to take either team here. I actually might look at the under here, Andrew, and think that this is going to be we used to see sevens a couple years ago between these two teams and think they were automatic overs. No. You look at some of these sevens and they're staying under the number here. I'm leaning to the under here. I think we see a better defensive game from both teams and almost a playoff type game tonight. Tomorrow we might be talking about how this game finished 6-5. I hope not. I'm going to go with the under in this game.
All right, under 6.5. Look, Carm, I get it with which team the game is probably more important to, but I don't like to always put so much emphasis on one thing when I'm handicapping. But there are some teams that hate to lose to bottom feeders, or just hate to lose in general in certain ways. Tampa Bay losing in a shootout to Montreal, I just feel like that will rub them the wrong way. And the Maple Leafs have blown every team out they've played recently. 7-3, 6-3, 5-2. I mean, it's been just a walk in the park for the Toronto Maple Leafs recently. And if you saw what happened with the Boston Bruins over the weekend on a game, they're bouncing back after a tough loss. What they put up 8 goals, 8-1. I'm not saying they could do that in this one. They aren't playing a weak team in the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I feel like they aren't going to be happy after that loss against the Montreal Canadiens. And, really skilled teams and veteran based teams like that, they bounce back after losses. I think to me, it'd be different. The handicap to me is actually entirely different if they're coming off a 6-1 victory over the Montreal Canadiens. And maybe I make too much of that with my handicapping, but I personally think that last game for the Lightning kind of transitions a little bit into it, because we've seen the Leafs win so many games in a row and in dominant fashion. I don't want to say it's a letdown. It's obviously against the back-to-back Cup champions, but I just don't like the fact that Tampa's off that shootout loss. So that's kind of what bugs me.
It's tough, Andrew, because you look at it, and I know when you have a very good team, the backup goalie shouldn't come into it, but it was Elliott net that, against the Canadiens, and I don't know if that had something to do with it. They're a different team with Vasilevsky and goal, but I'm telling you that to close out this season, you're going to see Elliott in goal quite a few more times, I have to believe, because they're going to protect Vasilevsky heading into the playoffs. Because ultimately, this team knows they're two-time defending Stanley Cup champions. They know once they get into the playoffs that they can turn it on in the playoffs. So I don't think they're really worried about dropping a game myself to the Montreal Canadiens. I think they just going to chalk it up as an OT loss and move on. So it'll be interesting tonight. We have two very good games. Toronto, the two games they'll be watching because they're so far apart. We're going to be able to watch the Leafs and the Lightning, and then watch the Kings and the Flames tonight, back to back. Those are the two marquee games, obviously, tonight.
I do agree with you, though, Carm, with what you said at the start of the show about when Tampa Bay won the President's Trophy, they didn't win the Stanley Cup. And then the year after that, when they actually let off a little bit at the end of the season, and you said it was 10-9, Carm. I mean, and that's the season, they won the Stanley Cup. So it doesn't matter exactly. It's just about getting in. So I do agree with you on that. And there's going to be some upsets in the season. Before we do jump into that late game, I just want to go to you, Carm. It's $9 Monday. I just want to mention you can get every single play for $9 at the website from every single handicapper. I just have one best bet up in the NHL, nothing else up for grabs. What about yourself?
Yeah, a couple games in afternoon soccer, a couple games in the NHL tonight, and then I've got 4 MLB future bets that I loaded up for clients as well too. So if you're an all access client or even a 30-day all access client, you'll be able to get those. Just log in and update your accounts. I'm looking forward to. I'll be doing a full season of baseball this year, and I'm just looking forward to it. So that's what we have up right now. I'm just looking for a good week. Let's keep rolling, man. You're having a great run of it. So I got to keep up with you, my friend.
Oh man, it's just been great for both of us. So let's have a great week. Let's keep it going. Before we jump into that big game, unfortunately, we have to talk about the Arizona Coyotes. And well, Carm couldn't leave them off the sheet today because there's only so many games to talk about. So we kind of had to bring this team up today. They're plus 310 against the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis Blues minus 400. Total at 6.5 in this one, Carm. And, I take a look at this Arizona team, and, a couple games ago, or when they played the Anaheim Ducks, I was disappointed in myself for not playing Anaheim in that spot, just because Anaheim had a couple losses in a row to Dallas, and, they had a tough go. And then Arizona had actually kind of competed for a bit. And when I say competed, I mean just not gotten, blown out. But when you look at what's gone on with them recently, besides that game against Chicago, they've just given up goals. I mean, it seems like it's on average, they're going to give up at least 4 or 5 goals per game and make it look like it's not even a big deal. The problem is when you see a minus 400, that immediately tells me that 3.5 team total is going to be extremely expensive. You're going to have to look towards a 4.5 for a team total. The puck line here is minus 160. So what is the way that we here on Puck Time this season have been approaching this and taking a look at these big favorites. The way that I like to do it, and I think Carm and Buster especially, first period puck lines. And that's the way I'm looking here with the St. Louis Blues, Carm. I expect them to be engaged. I expect them to be motivated. And I expect them at home to get the job done early against the Coyotes tonight. So first period puck line for me, we'll try and win a bet here in 20 minutes. What are your thoughts?
I'll be honest with you. This game will not make my card whatsoever. I don't get this Arizona team. I had the over in that game against Anaheim. If you told me that Anaheim was going to score 5 goals in that game and the game stays under the total, I would have asked you what you were smoking, because I just don't get it. They just did not show up in that game, and it was all Anaheim. It was so frustrating to watch a game like that. With that said, I just don't want to lay this number. We see some big favorites lose, Andrew, and over the last month of the season. And you look at, I think it was last year. You look at Arizona last year, and they seem to have the St. Louis Blues number. And I know the Blues went through some injuries, but even when they got healthy, Arizona went there, played back-to-back games over a 3-night period, and beat the Blues both times. If you look at their last 10, there's a lot of Arizona wins in that. Am I saying they're going to win tonight? No, but it's just this team is so unpredictable, and it's Rosetov, if I pronounce his name right or not. He's listed as the starter. It's showing not confirmed yet, but Ville Husso is likely to start tonight. I would actually sit him and put Binnington in net and save him, because you would figure that even with Binnington in goal, that this is a game that the Blues should win. But with that said, that's not the NHL, and that's not the NHL. The last 30 games, the last 30 days that we've witnessed, we've seen a lot of big favorites go down. So this is a pass for me. I just can't lay this number, but I don't blame you for taking that first period handicap line of -0.5, even money pretty much.
Yeah, it's definitely really the only way I could find for this game, Carb. Everything else is just so expensive. The prices are just unbelievable. I don't really know if it's unbelievable. I guess it's against the Coyotes, but it's just not something I'm willing to pay. Our last game, we've talked about it. We've hyped it up a little bit here. The Calgary Flames and the LA Kings. And, well, they're very close in the standings, but the odds here aren't very close here. -170. Plus 145 on the other side here with the LA Kings. Totals at 6 in this one. We talked about how close they are, but realistically, what they both bring to the table is a little bit different. I will say that I have been a lot more impressed with the goal scoring capability of the LA Kings on the season, of them recently, but I'm not sure they can maintain that. What's impressive to me about that team is their defense. Their goaltending has been actually pretty good. But I don't know if they can trade goals here with the Calgary Flames. And if you take a look at what LA has done in successful games recently, the scoreline has looked like 3-2, 3-1, something of that nature. For the Calgary Flames, when they win games, we've seen them score 5 goals, 6 goals. Like it's absolutely no problem at all. And there's just so much pressure this team applies. But you take a look at the loss they're off right now against the St. Louis Blues, where they lost that one 6-4. And to me, I look at the quotes from Sutter in that one, Carm, and that was just rough. I mean, they did not seem happy with that one. It's not just about the loss to Sutter. It's about the defensive mistakes they made. Prior to that one, of course, they played LA and they lost in that one as well. It's a revenge game. I think it's a spot for Calgary. They're getting LA in their first game back at home after a little Canadian road trip. But I think that the price is a little bit high here, and it's going to continue to grow. If you like Calgary, bet it now. As the day moves on, I think this number is going to continue to get bet up for Calgary. But I just want to ask you, I mean, we talk about these situations with travel spots and home and away. How much does it matter to you that LA is back at home after the road trip?
It's going to help them. That was a very good road trip. It's what they needed to put themselves back into the sort of the playoff discussion. But as I said, there's going to be 6 teams closing out this season, battling for 5 spots, and they needed to go into Winnipeg and win that game, which effectively killed Winnipeg's playoff hopes, I think. The win in Calgary was a very big win, and then they still picked up a point in Edmonton. So all things said and done, the 3-game trip where they picked up 5 of a possible 6 points, that is very successful to them. Problem is now they come home and they're going to face a Calgary team that have lost 3 straight games. And as you said, listen, the way in which they lost that last game against the Blues wasn't ideal. Sutter literally read them the riot act. And, with that said, I think this is a great rapid revenge spot for them to get back into that win column. They played so well for so long. And like I said, they were 24, 12, and 3 since January 1st. They've had a great second half of the season. They'll put it back together again. They'll start to win games. This team has a lot of talent, and Markstrom's a very good goalie in goal. I think with a team that's lost 3 games, I normally look like teams like this. Like Tampa Bay has had 2 spurts of 3-game losing streaks, and the next one out was one of their better performances both times out. Throughout the season, you look at it, and it's that first period. I think we see a very good effort from this Calgary Flames team in the first period. And I think if you're looking at it, and we're going to talk about it in our best bet segment, that's where you want to take them. Not take them on the money line, but you take them on the handicap line. So that's where I'm looking at. I think you can play this a few different ways. My narrative is that the Calgary Flames bounce back tonight. So with that said, you can look at if you're going to agree with that narrative of mine, then you can take them in regulation time. You can take them full game line or puck line, but I'm going to take them first period line because I say we see a commitment to defense right off the get-go. And I'm going to play that Don Buster line of -0.5 plus 145 in the first period.
And again, a great way to find value, a great way to get a great number there, and a great situation. I'm looking towards the Flames in the first period at a great price there. All right, before we jump into best bets, I'm going to go with the buy and sell segment, guys. And it's kind of a unique situation here today on the buy and sell segment. We're going to do a lot of playoff preview stuff, and we're going to talk about teams you can buy on and teams you can sell on for the playoffs. But it's a unique situation today, and here it is. Today, guys, we're going to look towards, the 2 teams we just talked about. The first team, let's go with the buy. I'm buying on this Calgary Flames team. I'm not expecting them to slow down whatsoever. I expect them to keep on going, and I almost like they had a little bit of adversity. Those 3 losses will wake them up, keep them focused, and help them play better defensively. They're a very well-coached team. Their next couple games are against the Kings, Ducks, Sharks, Kraken, and then the Kraken again. All winnable games to me, all games that can have success and continue to build as a team. I believe this is a great week coming up here for the Calgary Flames. Albeit they're on the road for a large part, it's a great road trip and a good confidence-building road trip heading in to the end of April and near the end of the playoffs. As far as the LA Kings team, look, Carmine mentioned it perfectly during puck time today, taking a look at their schedule coming up. Well, they're playing the Flames tonight on Monday. Then they have the Oilers, Wild, mix in the Blackhawks, and then the Avalanche. Things are not easy for them in their next several games. After coming off a successful Western Canadian road trip, I don't expect things to go well for this LA Kings team. And it's just because I don't think they can trade goals with teams. I don't think they have scoring depth and have enough guys that can contribute scoring-wise night in, night out. They had a couple months ago, which really got them up in the standings. So I'm actually selling the LA Kings this week, and we're buying on the Calgary Flames to have a great week this week as well. So a unique situation. Talked about this game on the show today, talking about both these teams. That's the buy and sell segment for this week on puck time. Now let's jump into best bets real quick and power plays. Carm, I'll go to you to remind folks at home what you have up and your best bet.
I love that buy and sell, Andrew, for the LA Kings. Like I said, the next the next five are their toughest. Calgary, Edmonton, Minnesota, Colorado, and Chicago in their next five. So we'll see how they fare with that. 2 plays up in NHL, 2 plays up in afternoon soccer. And I'm as far as my free play, I'm going to go to that last game we discussed, the LA Kings and the Calgary Flames. I'm going to take the Calgary Flames first period -0.5 plus 145. As I said, off those 3 games, and that last one particularly, which was probably their worst performance of the 3. Sutter's going to have this team tight in that first period, I believe. Rapid revenge spot. So I'm going to take the Calgary Flames to come out and have that lead after the first period, and get us some plus money on that one.
All right, Calgary Flames, first period on the puck line, -0.5 goal at plus 145. Best of luck to you, Carm, today. Grab all of Carm's plays for $9 today and $9 Monday. For me, guys, I mentioned before, 11-0 run in the NHL, 14-0 all sports run, 40-15 in the NHL since March 1st. Best bet is up today at WagerTalk for just $9. Best bet for the show today is going to be the Boston Bruins. I know it's pricey, guys. Boston Bruins team total over 3.5, -145. They won their last game. They put up 5 goals. 3 of them were empty net goals. Albeit they won, it wasn't even their best game. Today, we'll get their best performance. Tonight, we'll get a big game from the Boston Bruins. Their team total over 3.5. My show power play here. Once again, Carmine has Calgary first period puck line plus 145, and that will do it for today's show. On behalf of Carmine, I'm Andrew. We'll see you tomorrow with Don Buster.
Baseball is back, and both WagerTalk and Sports Memo have an amazing offer to keep you in action from the first pitch to the kickoff of the upcoming NFL season. We have you covered from Thursday, April 7th, when 18 of the 30 MLB teams take part in opening day, to Thursday, August 4th, when the NFL Hall of Fame game kicks off in Canton, Ohio for less than $5 per day. To lock in your favorite WagerTalk expert through the start of NFL preseason, it would cost you well over $1,000. Before a limited time, pay only $5.49, coming out to just $4.61 per day. This will include any plays released for MLB from opening day to August 4th, rest of the NBA and NHL regular seasons, entire playoffs and championship games, golf, UFC, soccer, and more. As an added bonus, your access begins when you sign up, so the earlier you sign up, the more free days you'll get. This will include all sports and any 5% best bets played during this time, so act fast as our first pitch to kickoff promotion ends on opening day, so lock in your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper